The winner this here
And the winner
category is
we already know who it is. You know
the
what I'm
winner
saying?
is the notorious B.I.G.
Ready to die.
To all the ladies in the place with style and grace, allow me to lace these typical dishes in your bushes. Who rock grooves and make moves with all the mommies. The back of the club, sipping my weight is where you find me. The back of the club, knocking my crew's behind me. Mad question asking, blunt passing, music lasting. But I just can't quit because one of these homies Biggie got to creep with, sleep with, keep the ep a secret. Why not? Why blow up my spot?
Yo. Yo. Hey, yo. Yo. Yeah, I want to give mad love to my daughter, to my mom. Player. Turn your head round. Lay on the ground. You've been round.
I want the riches. Money on the
Stay where you're at, man. Don't get my shot. Get on the other side.
feel the essence. Try to test it. Scientists, able to rest it. Soda, knowledge is down. Strange repertoire. Similarities, mixing thousands from opposite. Super low powers of the
The dog, everybody dying, no lying. So don't you get suspicious. I'm big, dangerous, you're just a little vicious. As I leave my competition, respirator style. Climb the ladder to success, escalator style. Hold y'all, breath I told y'all. Death controls y'all, big don't fold y'all. I spit phrases that'll thrill you. You're nobody till somebody kills you. You're nobody till somebody kills you. I don't wanna die. Gotcha. He was going to do a record for somebody else. I just happened to be upstairs working on the Dream Mafia project. Seasoned him, saw him coming in, and was like, yo, Pac on his way up. We on our way down. Some kids happened to be in the hallway, stuck him up, shot him or whatever. Got caught up in the mix like that.
The notorious B.I.G, Big Papa, Frank White, Biggie, Christopher Wallace, considered to be one of the greatest rappers and MCs, period. His unique style, definitely broke down barriers in hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Considering the fact that, when he first came out, hip hop was generated, was taken over by the West Coast or whatnot. He's one of the first MCs to really have the East Coast renaissance. His debut album, Ready to Die, was released September 13, 1994 on Bad Boy under Arista. It was known for singles like Juicy, Big Papa, Warning, One More Chance. Of course, y'all should know the story about the album. Album, of course, to this day, went 6 times platinum as of 2018. Definitely a very dope album. Like, a lot of people praise the album for its storytelling ability. Peaked at number 15 on the Billboard 200. I mean, yeah, Biggie was just one of those MCs that just definitely, just laid the groundwork, you know what I'm saying? Hi, this is Reg, and welcome to my latest episode of my Beef series. Today we are going to talk about the subliminal history behind Life After Death, which was Biggie's second and final studio album when he was alive. Alright, so pretty much, um, the point of this episode really was because of the fact that, well, first of all, let me just say this. Life After Death was really one of the most influential hip hop albums to date, you know what I'm saying? Now, his second studio album, Life After Death, was released on March 25th, 1997, about 2 weeks after his death. Singles albums known for was Hypnotize, More Money, More Problems, and Sky's the Limit. Um, you know, um, Album, of course, was a huge commercial success around this time too. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it actually was. It debuted at number 176, but it jumped from 176 to number one in a week, and that was something very unheard of when it comes to hip hop at that time. Now, one thing I've always admired about this album, there's a couple things this whole album was very influential for. For one, this was released around the time of the whole mafioso rap era, and you guys should know by the mid 90s, you had albums like Only Built for My Cuban Links by Raekwon, AZ's Do or Die, Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt, um, yeah, man, albums like that. And so with this album right here, it definitely has like mafioso stylings, but at the same time, Puffy's idea was, of course, trying to bring like the pop rap and the gangster rap closer and shit like that, And so that's why this whole album was very, excuse me, this whole album was very like revolutionary and stuff too. Because Life After Death, whether people want to admit it or not, because the album from diehard Biggie fans, they kind of have their differences about it, which I've done a review on Life After Death years ago and stuff like that, but because they felt like it was nothing compared to Ready to Die and shit like that. So to me, when it comes to Life After Death, it was groundbreaking for a lot of things. Like, it was groundbreaking, of course, just for, how can I put this? It pretty much redefined East Coast hip hop, in the late '90s and stuff, because I know a lot of producers after this whole album came out, a lot of rappers tried to go for that formula, the whole, sampling, the disco songs, the '80s R&B songs and whatnot. Um, you know, just the big blockbuster kind of albums and stuff like that. Trying to have like bridge the gap between the radio friendly and of course, gritty, the gritty like realistic hardcore rap formula and whatnot. What else? What else? Yeah, man, it definitely was influential for the fact that excuse me. It definitely influential for the fact of just how where Bad Boy was at that time and stuff like that too. Definitely was influential about that. And what also influences about this album was the fact that it really furthered subliminals in hip hop. Now, what does the word subliminal mean? Now, Webster's dictionary pretty much describes subliminal as two definitions. One is the inadequate to produce a sensation or a perception, and two, existing or functioning below the threshold of consciousness. Now, I pretty much resonate with the second definition more, especially when it comes to the hip hop genre. Now, when it comes to like diss tracks these days, you see like a lot of MCs and like Kendrick Lamar and Drake, being masters of subliminals, and everyone's treating it like it's like a new thing. But subliminals has really been like present in hip hop, as far back as the earlier days and shit like that. Especially like if you guys know personally like the rapper who that person is talking about. Now, for example, let's take an album like, let's take a song like LL Cool J's Jack the Ripper. Like, especially since we just covered the beef not too long ago, what he's talking about, How You Like Me Now, I'm Getting Busier, I'm Double Platinum, I'm Watching You Get Dizzier. Okay, so, of course, you guys should know this Jack the Ripper was an answer track to Kumo D's How You Like Me Now. And of course, with him mentioning the line How You Like Me Now, he doesn't really mention Kumo D's name. He doesn't really mention Kumo D's name and stuff like that. But at the same time, to the average hip hop listener, it would have a clue that he's talking about Kumo D and shit. Um, who else? Who else? I want to pick a really. Oh, the Beastie Boys with Professor Booty off the Check Your Head album and stuff like that. We know that was a song when MCA was actually going after MC Search off Third Base and stuff like that, which that's actually a beef I might have to do a separate video on one day. But on the song Professor Booty, MCA, he took the last verse, and with certain lines, might go over one's head and shit like that, but there's this one line, a couple lines where he says, ass, move your fat ass, cause you're whack, son. Dancing around like you think you're Janet Jackson. Thought you could walk on me and get some ground to walk on. I'll put the rug out under your ass as I talk on. Now, it's no surprise, MC Search is not the skinniest motherfucker and shit like that. And if you guys seen him in performances, he's always known to like dance and stuff like that. So, again, to the average listener, he might talk about, you guys know he's talking about Third Base. However, sometimes subliminals definitely can really go over one's head. Subliminals could definitely go over one's head and shit like that. And it might just be like an in-joke between the two of them and stuff like that. Jay-Z's Imaginary Player from the In My Lifetime Volume 1, which that's a very underrated album in my opinion and stuff like an underrated Jay-Z album. I know a lot of people were kind of bashing that album because, for one, it's not Reasonable Doubt, but at the same time, he's still winning on that album. Like, yeah. So, the song Imaginary Player was pretty much, he was, believe it or not, on the second verse, where he says, and now you've got these young cats acting like they slung caps, all in their dumb raps talking about how they fun stack. When I see them in the street, I don't see none of that. Damn, Playboy, what the fuck the Hummer at? Where's all the ice with the platinum under that? Those ain't Rolex diamonds, what the fuck you done to that? Now, believe it or not, y'all might be surprised, but he was actually talking about Mace on that verse and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? He was talking about Mace and shit, especially the line about the Hummer, because, Jay-Z and Mace had like a subliminal words and stuff like that back in like the late 90s and some shit, you know what I'm saying? And it was over a girl, but like I said before, that's another beef I might talk about one day and some shit like that. But yeah, man, like y'all get the point of like subliminals and stuff. And so when it comes to the notorious B.I.G's Life After Death, there's a slew of songs where he's throwing like shots at rappers, mentioning people and stuff like that. And pretty much, with that being said, a lot of fans to this day debate whether which line was dedicated to who and shit like that. And so, in this episode of Beef, it's going to be, I'm going to pick a couple of songs, not all the songs, of course, not talking about every rapper and all the songs, but just certain songs that stood out to me when it came to like the whole subliminals, throwing subliminal shots at one another, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, man, this is definitely going to be a good episode. So, I already got my Hennessy ready, so stay tuned on this. So check out this first track. Now I know what you guys are thinking. How could the first track off this album, with one of Biggie's heralded storytelling songs, contain some subliminals? Well, believe it or not, a lot of people thought this song was taken the wrong way. Especially when there was this one line where he says some shit like, in the first verse already, he's saying, I'm sitting in the crib dreaming about Lear jets and coops, the way Salt shoots and how to sell records like Snoop. Oops. of course, how to sell records like Snoop. And so, of course, y'all know who Snoop is talking about, of course. He's talking about Snoop Dogg. And so it's kind of crazy too because Snoop, a death row artist, Biggie, a bad boy artist, and some shit like that. A lot of people, well, just questioning like the friendship, and whatnot. And believe it or not, there was an interview where Snoop actually mentioned that him and Daz were actually in the studio watching Biggie record not only this track, but Ten Crack Commandments too. And so with that song itself, it's pretty much shouting out Snoop and stuff like that. They took it as a way of shouting out Snoop, for selling the Dogfather, which was his sophomore album 3 years after Doggy Style, which not as good as Doggy Style. I'll be the first to admit that, but at the same time, part of me does feel like the album tends to get a little overhated at times and shit like that. I've done a review, like I said, that's another album I've done a review on years ago, so y'all can go on my channel and check that shit out. But yeah, and it's crazy too because there was an interview that Puff did and stuff like that when they were doing a double XL issue about the making of Life After Death, and he said, and I quote, "It wasn't directed at anybody. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't no subliminal underlying message. It was just some lyrics. Nothing to do with the East Coast, West Coast thing. He had lyrics like this before there was so-called beefs. So a lot of things people started to look for and read into just weren't there, honestly." Unquote. And it's interesting because Larceny of Junior Mafia fame did a similar interview on Revolt TV, and he said, and I quote, "Biggie was ill with the movies. I remember me and the nigga went to the movies one day and see The Usual Suspects. That nigga watched the whole movie, went to Daddy O's house and laid Somebody's Got to Die. He used to watch movies and come up with a whole fucking song at the same time. That's why his lyrics tend to be photogenic. He would watch movies and come up with the whole song. Somebody's Got to Die was also the first song recorded for the album." Unquote.
I'm sitting in the crib dreaming about Learjets and coops, the way Salt shoots and how to sell records like Snoop. I'm interrupted by a doorbell, 3:52. Who the hell is this? I gets up quick, cocks my shit, stop the dogs from barking, then proceed to walking. It's a face that I seen before. My nigga sing, he used to this goes out to you. This goes out to you, and you, and you.
Kicking the door, raising the 4-4. All you hear is Papa, don't hit me no more, man. Like, I feel like this track right here, when it comes to the diss tracks, this is probably one of the best known ones from this album and stuff like that. Because just the story behind this whole album, this song right here is just crazy as hell. For one, Kicking the Door was produced by DJ Premier. And you guys know DJ Premier for Gangstar fame, he was definitely in his bag around that time. And so, with Kicking the Door, he went after J. Rue the Damager, Nas, Raekwon, and Ghostface. Interesting enough, you know what I'm saying? So, let's start with J. Rue the Damager. So, the incident with J. Rue and Biggie pretty much, didn't really happen the way people thought it happened because Biggie and J. Rue were actually real cool at one point and whatnot. And so, what ended up happening, what really set it off was the fact that the beat for 10 Crack Commandments was a Hot 97 promo that it featured J. Rue the Damager. And, for what ended up happening, Puffy pretty much, he loved the beat so much that he called Angie Martinez, asked her about the beef and stuff, about the beat and stuff like that. And so once Diddy straightened it out with Primo tried to tell J. Rue the Damager about it, but J. Rue wasn't really hearing about it. He just said, that was my beat and fuck that. So that's when J. Rue the Damager pretty much went after Bad Boy and a slew of others, on the whole track One Day. Now, One Day was pretty much released on J. Wooder Damager's second studio album, Wrath of the Math, that was released in late '96 up until October 15th. Singles albums known for was You're Playing Yourself, Me or the Papes, and yeah, those are like the only two major singles, and like One Day was like pretty much like a B-side track. The album, charted at number 35 on the Billboard 200 and number 3 on the R&B Hip Hop Albums chart. Yeah, man, very, very, very good album and stuff like that. Very dope album. Check out the review on my channel for it. And One Day is pretty much like one of those storytelling tracks that it's only like one verse, no pun intended. It's only one verse and shit too, but it tells a story about how hip hop was kidnapped by Bad Boy Records. He also threw some shots at Foxy Brown too, and next thing you know, Puffy had to give hip hop to L.A. With Death Row Records and stuff like that. So check out. I'm gonna play a little
suit on. I was like, no, the quote unquote uniform of that era when it was starting to shift was Versace and all the shades and all that, and we weren't with it. Now, if that's what you rock, cool, but we're talking about how we see hip hop right now from how it used to be when we really enjoyed it. So we're just giving a perspective of how we viewed it. Honestly, I remember Foxy Brown was really mad. We had at Roseland one day, and when Jay-Z's hanging out with us, because he was more laughed it off, like, yeah. But he told me, he said, I'm going to get at your man. I'm going to get at a few people. And he did. He didn't just get at Rue. He got at Nas. He got at Ray and Ghost, on the third verse. When he was mad at Smith and Wesson. Well, not Smith and Wesson. He was mad at OGC from Boot Camp.
Because they put him in the video.
Yeah, the guy with the Versace, the Coochie sweater, and threw him off the stage and all that. So he was including a lot of other people as well. But he warned me that he wanted to get at him and say what he had to say. He said, if you don't like it, he said, I'll pull it. And I was like, nah, just say what you got to say. Once I heard it, I froze for a second when he said, son, I'm surprised you run with them.
Can we see that?
You know what I'm saying? So
yes, no disrespect, your son, when Big says son, I'm surprised you run with them, he's speaking directly to
I
DJ
immediately
Premier.
said he's talking about, if you know the streets and you know how to understand lyrics, you know exactly what it was. Big had just had the car accident, so he was on a walker. And when he had to go to the vocal booth, we'd have to escort him and help him walk because he was really, really in bad shape. And he had to rhyme in a wheelchair because he couldn't stand up long because his hip was really hurting. So,
Yeah, now, Kicking the Door also threw some shots at Nas, too, because the whole incident with Biggie and Nas itself is a pretty complicated story on its own, because let's not forget that Biggie pretty much admired Nas' style and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying?
What can I say? Y'all did damage. You cleaned up tonight. Was that a surprise for you, or did you come in knowing that Big's the real and we're gonna clean up?
No, not at all. I mean, I thought I was just gonna. I knew I was gonna win something. I'm hoping I'm still gonna win the album of the year. That's what I wanted more than anything. That the best performance. I didn't think I was gonna win that, and I definitely didn't think I was gonna win lyricist with Nas on it. But I just want the best album. That's it, because I know that was tight. I worked hard on that piece.
How important is it to have the Source Award? Let me just wait and find. You got that?
Yeah, man, because it's crazy too, because when Nas dropped Illmatic, a lot of people were taken aback by the All-Star production lineup and stuff, because around that time too, like, you never really hear like almost an All-Star production lineup when you hear like a lot of hip-hop albums around that time, because there might be like almost a lot of known producers, and then you might have like a producer that you might be an in-house producer or just one of their friends, producing something and some shit like that. And Biggie was very influenced by Illmatic. He really wanted to make a record, really as gritty as Illmatic, but of course Puffy, wanted to have that whole ghetto fabulous R&B direction with Ready to Die. And I feel like that's definitely what really had a distinction between the two albums and stuff too. Now, if you really ask me personally, what really set shit off for Biggie and Nas, well, it had to do with this Source issue right here. Yes, the infamous Biggie King of New York source issue that came out in 1995. Now, when this issue came out, I know a lot of East Coast cats were kind of feeling a little salty about it because a lot of them threw some shots at Biggie here and there, and they felt that a lot of people felt like the source was really snubbing Nas at that time because let's be real, let's be real. Nas got five mics. Nas got five mics on the source with Illmatic and some shit like that. And even that itself was kind of controversial from the source because with the source sometimes, especially like back in their prime, they used to get criticized for giving certain albums the ratings that they got and shit like that. If that makes sense. And so Ready to Die only got 4.5 out of 5 mics too. So yeah, man, that's very interesting. And so who was getting all the Source Awards in '95 at that time? None other than Notorious B.I.G, Bad Boy, and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So fast forward to 1996. Nas dropped his second studio album. It Was Written. Now, It Was Written was released on July 2nd, 1996, on Columbia Records. Singles album was known for was If I Ruled the World, Imagine That, featuring Lauryn Hill, Street Dreams, and The Message. Now, I'm gonna come back to The Message, but when it comes to this album was pretty much like a commercial breakthrough for Nas and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Because it debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. And also, this album was a first for a lot of things because it wasn't as raw or as street as Illmatic, but at the same time, it kind of gave us a lot of things. It was the first time Nas really worked heavily with the track masters, who definitely aided his sound like during like the mid to late '90s, as I should say. It was the first appearance of Nas's supergroup, The Firm, which initially featured Foxy Brown, AZ, and Cormega. And just like Life After Death, this was the album that we know. Just like Life After Death, this album was very heavily involved, with the whole mafioso rap scene and whatnot. As Nas went from Nasty Nas to Nas Escobar and shit. And a lot of diehard Nas fans at the time definitely felt that Nas was selling out. He was going for that more commercial appeal when it came to It Was Written and whatnot. But then over years later, it not only became Nas's best selling album, but definitely a lot of diehard Nas fans themselves have said that it was better than Illmatic. Which, yeah, man, it was written was definitely a very dope album, like a very classic album in my opinion. Like one of my favorite songs from that album, I Gave You Power. Jesus Christ, like Primo went in on that beat, man. Like, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's talk about The Message. Now, The Message is a very interesting track itself because the fact that, oh man, because for one, you guys probably heard this song in like the beginning of the If I Ruled the World video, whereas he's saying that the first verse and shit like that, and well, not the whole first verse. He ends off with the line, "There can only be one life, one love, and there can only be one king." And a lot of this song was very controversial because initially this track was originally thought to have dissed Tupac, because they had a line where it says, "Fake thug, no love, you get the slug. CB4 gusto, your luck low. Didn't know till I was drunk though." Very dope flow on that. Very dope flow on that line right there and shit like that. And with Tupac, of course, claiming thug life, of course claiming thug life and shit like that. raised the fact that Pac thought Nas was stealing his style, but like I said, that's another story for a different day. But if you really listen closely to that verse and stuff like that, there's this one line where he says, 17 rocks gleam from one ring. They let me let y'all niggas know one thing. There's one life, one love, so there can only be one king. You know, for one, calling back to the song One Love. And, the line, of course, was throwing shots at Biggie, because the whole King of New York, the King of New York title from that 1995 Source issue. And so even Pope from Trackmasters himself, confirmed that line and shit like that. And it really did not even stop there because, and this is something that I've recently found out for myself because I never knew there was an affirmative action too. And so with affirmative action too, of course Nas has some other lines where he says some shit like but I'm pulling it up right now, bear with me. He's saying some shit like, I'll take the crown off the so-called king of the town and lock it down. Hint, hint. Biggie, King of New York and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, definitely, throwing them subliminal. Again, another classic example of the subliminal shots because in the mainstream, not a lot of people might not know it in the mainstream. But if you listen, if you listen close to the lyrics and shit like that, then you'll know that he's definitely talking about Biggie on that track. Which brings me to Raekwon and Ghostface Killer of the Wu-Tang Clan, who also targets to Biggie in this song right here. Now, Biggie and Wu-Tang had a very interesting relationship because, Biggie was always cool with Method Man, he was cool with RZA, but other members of the Wu weren't really feeling Biggie like that, especially Way and Ghost. So, and it's crazy because Biggie and Raekwon were on the Ron G song "Stop the Brakes," which also had Killer Sin and KRS-One. Check that song out though, very dope track right there. And so, even Method Man, he quoted on saying, and I quote, "It was no secret Ray didn't like him, Ghost didn't like him. They thought he was a biter. But if you look at Ray and Ghost, they don't like nobody. The rest of my niggas had love for Big. It was just Ray and Ghost and my niggas. It's like we're a unit, we moved as a unit. So if one of my niggas ain't speaking, then nobody was speaking. And we would just roll right by B.I.G. rock right past. But Lil C's can vouch for this, and my niggas can vouch for this. I always have to give word with Big, no matter what. There was a show, and he had performed, and we had performed that night. Outside the club, Big approached me and said, like, yo, I want to do something with you on my album. Which you guys should know, that song was called The What off Ready to Die. Now RZA also has some things to say about the Wu-Tang Biggie incident, where he talks about the night Wu and Biggie both performed, and he mentioned how Raekwon and Ghostface was under the influence, and they were definitely like commenting on the source issue of Biggie and stuff like that. And according to RZA, shit almost hit the fan according to RZA when they had that concert together. And this was all coming from RZA's book, The Wu-Tang Manual, too. So y'all should check that book out. Now, we all should know about Raekwon's debut album, Only Built for My Cuban Links, which came out in August 1st, 1995 on Loud under RCA Records. The singles album was known for was Heaven or Hell, which pretty much was also on the Fresh soundtrack that came out in 1994. Fresh being very dope movie right there, classic underrated movie. Criminology, Ice Cream, and Rainy Days. Heaven and Hell, Criminology, Ice Cream. And I also want to say Rainy Days too. They all feature Ghostface, of course. Ice Cream features Method Man and Capadonna as well too, and shit like that. Yeah, man, that's like a very classic album. In terms of like chart success, it debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200 and peaked at number 2 on the R&B and hip hop albums charts. I mean, this was a very influential album. Very like pushed forward the whole mafioso rap scene and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like it definitely took what Cool G Rap did and just did their own crazy shit with it. And so on one of the songs, there was a song that was, well, not a song, it's like a skit called Shark Niggas, Biters. Whereas, Ray and Ghostface pretty much was talking about niggas biting shit. And they were talking heavily about, Biggie, especially with Ready to Die and Nas Illmatic. Because, both of those albums, had, the little version of Nas, little boy version of Nas. And then what people thought to have been Biggie when he was a baby. But it turns out that was like a neighbor's son or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So, just saying how much of a biter he was. Yeah. Now, on 2019, Nas appeared on an episode of Drink Champs, the podcast with Nori and DJ FN. And he pretty much told a story about how Biggie pretty much gave him an angry phone call after Raekwon and Ghostface dropped the Shark Niggas Biters and whatnot too. So that's very interesting to tell.
Extra clips for extra shit. Who's next to flip on that cat with that grip on rap? The most shady. Frankie, baby. Ain't no telling where I may be. May see me in DC at Howard Homecoming with my man Capone drumming fucking something. You should know my stilo. Went from 10 G's for blow to 30 G's a show to all G's with O's I never seen before. So, Jesus, get off the notorious. Mean us before I squeeze and bust. If the beef between us, we can settle it with the chrome and metal shit. I make it hot like a kettle get. You're delicate, you better get who sent you. You still pedal shit. I got more rides than Great Adventure. Biggie.
How are you gonna do it? Do it.
Kick in the door, waving the 4-4. All you heard was Papa, don't hit me no more. Kick in the door, waving the 4-4. All you heard was Papa, don't hit me no more. Kick in the door, waving the 4-4. All you heard was Papa, don't hit me no more. Kick.
Who y'all talking to, man?
Check it out. Check it out. This here goes up.
Again, another pretty controversial track where the story speaks for itself. So pretty much with this track right here, Biggie tells a story about how he was, chilling and stuff like that, and he pretty much sleeps with a girl that was dating some guy from the New York Knicks. And the story was just crazy as hell because the fact that, they was, fucking around with each other and shit like that. And when old boy tried to catch them and stuff like that, they made it seem like she got robbed and some shit like that. I mean, like I said, yeah, the song is pretty wild and shit, you know what I'm saying? And pretty much, for over years, a lot of people have speculated which NBA star from the Knicks was it. And originally, it was thought out to be John Starks. John Starks and stuff like that. And over the years, it wasn't until 2015, where the story begins to unravel more, because Jadakiss had done an interview with Highly Questionable and stuff like that, where they were talking about, B.I.G. in the song. And Jadakiss pretty much claimed that Biggie, pretty much claimed that Biggie could have been talking about anybody like John Starks, could have been talking about Anthony Mason, Larry Johnson, or Derek Harper. And this was according to Jadakiss. However, it was not until 2016 that Fat Joe pretty much, broke the camel and stuff like that, whereas he mentioned that it was Anthony Mason that was the Knicks in question. And even Diddy himself has confirmed that it was Anthony Mason and stuff like that too. So yeah, man, it was a very interesting track right there. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of fans pretty much loved that track when it came out and stuff like that, and it became like a fan favorite.
Do you get tired of people asking you if that Biggie Smalls song was about you?
That what now?
That Notorious
people
B.I.G.
ask me about
song.
That wasn't me. First
I mean,
and
look,
foremost,
Biggie wants to hit on Dan's girlfriend.
Yeah, first and foremost, I'm not even 6'5". I'm 6'2", actually. So it couldn't have been about Big. I know who it was about, but I'm not gonna say. But
Oh, no,
I can't tell you.
You can't do that.
You shouldn't have
I
said
can't
the first
tell you.
part
I
if you weren't
can't
gonna say
tell
the
you.
next part.
Starks,
I can't
that's
tell
not
you.
cool what you
But I
just
just want to
did.
get it clear that it wasn't about me.
Harder than a missile, yo. Try to hit it if she tripping, disappearing like Arsenio. Yo, the bitch push a double O with the 5 in front. Probably a conniving stunt. Y'all drive in front. I'ma peel with her, find a deal with her. She fuck around and steal, huh? Then we all get laced. Televisions, Versace heaven. When I'm up in them, the shit she kick, all the shit's legit. She get dick from a player off the New York Knicks. Nigga trick ridiculous, the shit was plush. She stressing me to fuck, like she was in the rush. We fucked in his bed, quite dangerous. I'm in his ass while he play against the Utah Jazz. My 112 CD blast, I was passed. She came twice, I came last, roll the grass. She giggled, saying I'm smoking on homegrown. Then I heard her moan, honey, I'm home. Yup, told Chrome for situations.
Notorious Thugs, man. This song features Bone Thugs and Harmony and is lyrically one of my favorite tracks off this album. And pretty much probably the most unique song off this album too. So, yeah, man, like this whole track right here was like Biggie is best known for like Biggie emulating the fucking Bone Thugs flow and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Just how his flow is mad different. And I read that he actually did his verse in one take, pretty much, if I'm not mistaken. And it's kind of crazy too, because the fact that y'all should always know the line. Like when it comes to this line, and Notorious Thugs is known for a couple of things and stuff like that. Excuse me. Like I said before, like it just has like one line where he's talking about Pac and stuff like that, which we all know is he says some shit like, "Nigga, you should too if you knew what this game will do to you. Been in this shit since '92. Look at all this bullshit I've been through. So-called beef with you know who. Fuck the female stars of 2. Then I blew this nigga moves like Mike and shit like that." Yeah, man, like and it's crazy too because like. You have to thank Fat Joe. You have to thank Fat Joe and stuff like that and stuff for this track, because the fact that according to Fat Joe, Biggie actually reached out to him and he needed to connect with Bone Thugs and Harmony. So according to Fat Joe, he quoted, and I quote, "I get a call from Biggie. Biggie was my brother, rest in peace. And Biggie was like, Joe, I need Bone Thug on a song. And because I know y'all, you were hesitant at first. You were like, we know Pac. We work with Pac. I went in on y'all. I was like, no, this ain't now beef. This ain't no nothing. Y'all need to get with Big. Y'all did it, and ain't y'all happy y'all did." Unquote.
Ain't too many can bang with us. Straight up, we no angel dust. Label us notorious. Thug ass niggas that love the bus. It's strange to us. Y'all niggas be scrambling, gambling. I'm restaurants with mandolins and violins. We just sitting here trying to win, trying not to sin. High off weed and lots of gin. So much smoke need oxygen. Steadily counting them Benjamins. Nigga, you should too if you knew what this game would do to you. Been in this shit since '92. Look at all the bullshit I've been through. So-called beef with you know who. Fucked a few female stars or 2. Then I blew like niggas blew like Mike. Shit, not to be fucked with. Motherfucker better duck quick. Cause me and my dogs love the buck shit. Fuck the luck shit, strictly aim. No aspirations to quit the game. Spit your game, talk your shit, grab your gat, call your clip, squeeze your clip, hit the right one. Pass that weed, I got the like one. All them niggas, I got to fight one. All them hoes, I got to like one. Our situation is a tight one. What you gonna do? Fight or run? Seems to me that you'll take B. Bone and big, nigga, die slowly. I'ma tell you like a nigga told me. Cash roll everything around me. Shit, lyrically, niggas can't see me. Fuck it, buy the coke, cook the coke, cut it. Know the bitch before you call yourself loving it. Nigga with a Benz fucking it. Doesn't it seem odd to you? Big come through with my
Now I'm gonna save the best for last. Long Kiss Goodnight. Oh my fucking god. Okay, so I'm just gonna be the upteam nigga that said this shit. This is a diss to Tupac. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna fucking say it. You know, this is a diss to Tupac and shit like that. And interesting story about this track though, because from one thing, the title was pretty much inspired by the 1996 movie The Long Kiss Goodnight. I think with stardom Gina Davis and stuff like that. Excuse me. And when Biggie had that car accident in late '96, while he was recovering from the car accident, him and his side chick at the time, Charlie Baltimore, would watch the movie a lot and stuff like that. And yeah, man, pretty much just how he wrote that shit. I know. Now y'all should know that Biggie, he was doing some promotion for Life After Death in early '97, in California and stuff like that too, thanks to Puff. And pretty much he appeared on Sway's morning show. He appeared on Sway's morning show in March 1st of 1997. And pretty much, fucking Sway was interviewing him about, life after death, the car accident, and the topic of Tupac comes out and stuff like that too. And just, Biggie was saying how much he was shocked by Pac's death and stuff like that, but he's not gonna let it phase him, just paraphrasing what he said and stuff like that. And it's kind of interesting too, because he pretty much freestyled I want to say the first verse in that shit. Yeah, he freestyled the first verse and stuff. Mind you, he did this in Cali months after Pac died, while the East Coast West Coast beef was still like brewing and shit like that too. So just imagine how cats would have felt when they heard that shit. You know what I'm saying?
So I'm handling that.
Life After Death.
Yes, indeedy.
All right, and let's talk about some of the stuff you've been through. You in LA, we got to confront every issue, you know what I'm saying? That's how we do it on the Wake Up Show. Now, a lot of people, when Puffy came up here, one thing we tried to do is because with the whole death row situation, East Coast, West Coast, a lot of people would point the finger on the East Coast, West Coast, whole tragedy on Bad Boy and Death Row Records, and the whole Tupac death. That would say Biggie set it up or Puffy set it up. Or you want to comment on people?
I ain't that powerful. Yet.
Yeah, Pac said that. Pac said that he was going to a studio to see you somewhere, and he felt like y'all set him up, man. We was like, how's that possible?
First of all, he wasn't coming to see me. He was going to do a record for somebody else. I just happened to be upstairs working on the Junior Mafia project. Seasoned him, saw him coming in, and was like, yo, Pac on his way up. We on our way down. Some kids happened to be in the hallway, stuck him up, shot him or whatever. Just got caught up in the mix like that. Poppers and One More Chances and Juicies and stuff like that. It was advice. It wasn't nothing getting stolen.
Yeah,
right. You know what I'm saying? If it's anything, he should have been happy for me more than anything else.
Yeah.
He was saying I sounded like him. That's bananas. You know what I'm saying? Out the water.
So I know you guys was real close, because I remember going back to New York years ago and seeing you doing Party and you know, on stage at the Palladium, and Pac came out.
All right. Let's not go completely into that story.
Oh, okay, all right.
I remember what went down that night.
Yeah. But no question. But, you know, and it was good because that was the first time I had saw him in years because, you know, I'm from the Bay, you know, from Oakland. And I used to see him up there, and I could tell y'all was bonding. I'm pretty sure you feel the pain of his death just like
doubt.
anybody else.
No doubt.
You know,
Even more than anybody else.
Yeah, won't you speak on that? Because a lot of people, you know, we get confronted with a lot of it because we did that interview with him, man. We can't speak for nobody, you know what I'm saying? You know, to confront that, like the whole death of Tupac. I mean, the tragedy of somebody as powerful, as big as he is in hip hop, just to be taken out. And what does that do for hip hop? You know?
I mean, it definitely was a loss. You know what I'm saying? A great loss. I feel for his family. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I can't be the one to sit there and really just stress over somebody else, you know what I'm saying? At that time, I was going through my own problems, you know what I'm saying? With my kids and my wife and my business, my money business, you know what I'm saying? I got my own things to handle, you know what I'm saying? Like 3 days after he died, I was in a car accident. I was in the hospital for 3 months.
Yeah, what happened with that, man? I heard you almost passed yourself.
Your boy.
C's, what happened, C?
What happened, C's?
You're talking crazy.
We was in a car, he was driving, whatever, it swerved off, crashed. Case closed. I'm in the hospital.
I make it feel right if it's real tight, wrong hole, alright?
I make your mouthpiece obese like Della Reese. When I release, you lose teeth like little C's. Player please, blood floods your dungarees. And that's just the half of my war path. Laugh now, cry later. I rhyme greater than the average player hater. And spectators buy my CD twice. They see me in the streets, they be like, yo, he nice. But that's on the low though. Beat them cats with no dough, try to play me at my show. I pull out 4 foes and go up in their clothes. Short change, snort cane. Abortion came quicker, bought the waves, nigga. It still tickle me. I used to be as strong as Ripple B, till little C's cripple me. Now I play hard like my girl's nipples be. The game sour like a pickle bee. Y'all know the rules. Move from BK to New Jerusalem. Think about all the planes we flew, females we ran through. Now the year's new. I lay my game flat. I want my spot back. Take 2. Mad cause I blew, players envy us. Too many players on my shit strenuous. When my men bust, you just move with such stamina. Slugs missed ya, I ain't mad at ya. Slugs rushing, bun bushing, concussions. Catch cases, come out frontin', smoking something, sipping white Russians, bitchin' the Benz bumping. Laced it with the basic, 6 TVs, a system, knocking mace. Face it, we hard to hit. Guard you before I hit you with your re-up, light the P up, lick shots, woke your seat up, went in the ashtray, spark the weed up, long kiss.
Now this song was brought up in a lot of speculation over the years, including in 2003 when Double XL published Making of Life After Death. And Lil C's, you know, he was asked about Long Kiss Goodnight. He was asked about Long Kiss Goodnight, and according to Lil C's, and I quote, like, Biggie originally said some terrible things about Tupac before scaling the song back. That was a one-nighter. That was about Pac. He had some shit at the beginning of that, though. Nobody heard it. On the real, we had to change it. It was a little too much. I can't remember what Big said about him, but it was terrible. It couldn't make it. He didn't want to do it. He had some fire, but he didn't want to make it too much. He just wanted to address it and to let nigga know. I know what's going on, and I could get wrecked if I want to. Like, if I really wanted to get on your niggas, I could. Unquote. And this is another key reason why Biggie is definitely like one of the greats and shit like that, because of his clever use of subliminal records and shit like subliminals in the songs or some shit like that too. Like, just by the way, you know, he's saying some shit like, because if you guys really listen closely to the lyrics, like, listen to this line right here. He says, I make your mouthpiece obese like Della Reese. When I release, you lose teeth like little C's. Nigga, please, blood floods your dungarees. And that's just half of my war path and stuff, you know? And, you know, Pac was always known to wear the dungarees and shit like that. Another line he just says in the first verse, you know, motherfuckers mad cause I blew. Niggas envious. Too many niggas on my dick, shit strenuous. When my men bust, you just move with such stamina. Slugs missed ya. I ain't mad at ya. We ain't mad at ya. Coincidence? I think not. I'm just gonna read another line. I'm not gonna read all the lines here, but just certain lines and stuff like that too. this one line right here was very interesting because not only was he going at Pac, but he was probably possibly going at Suge Knight too. Like, check the shit out. Like, slugs hit your chest, tap your spine, flatline. Heard through the grapevine, you got fucked 4 times. Damn that 3 to 9. Fucks you up for real though. Sling steel slow. As for remorse, we feel no. And it's crazy too, cause cause at the same time, like Suge Knight, he was sent to prison, like in '97 and stuff like that, because of the fact that everyone knows about the fight that Pac and Suge and the Death Row Boys had with Orlando Anderson and stuff like that. Yeah, man, very interesting right there and stuff like that. And of course, Puffy had to deny it, said it wasn't about Pac and shit like that. Like, we were fucking. So in the interview, the same interview that they did with Double XL, Puffy, he addressed it. He said, and I quote, "Nah, it was just some MC lyrics. I know people want you have their imagination, but it was just lyrics. You're hearing it from the horse's mouth. I would tell the truth. If Big was gonna do a song about Pac, he would have just come out with it and said his name. The gloves was basically off. Tupac had did hit him up." Unquote.
You lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God! Stop fucking lying.
Little C's, nigga please, blood flood your dungarees, and that's just the half of my war path. Laugh now, cry later. I rhyme greater than the average player hater. And spectators buy my CD twice. They see me in the streets, they be like, yo, he nice, but that's on the low though. Be the cats with no dough, try to play me at my show. I pull out 4 foes and go up in their clothes. Short change niggas, snort cane niggas. Extortion came quicker, bought the range nigga. It still tickle me. I used to be as strong as Ripple B, to Little C's cripple me. Now I play hard like my girl's nipples be. The game sour like a pickle bee. Y'all know the rules. Move from BK to New Jerusalem. Think about all the planes we flew, bitches we ran through. Now the year's new. I lay my game flat.
And so, with that being said, that pretty much concludes what I have to talk about with this album in terms of like subliminals. So, overall, I just felt like definitely like Life After Death really goes the bar high, not just with like the song, the pop rap, bridging the gap between like hardcore, gangster rap, pop rap, and all that. It also, elevated the game when it came to dropping subliminals and rap and stuff like that, because in this day and age, like I mentioned earlier in the video, a lot of motherfuckers these days dropping subliminals and stuff like that, and I just felt like Biggie kind of did his own different thing with it, you know what I'm saying, and shit like that. And like I said, Life After Death, even to this day, is still one of my favorite albums to bump to and stuff like that. Even though my favorite is Ready to Die, I just felt like, Life After Death, MCing wise, Big definitely did his thing on this one. I just fucking love this album. And that concludes this episode of Beef. Thank y'all so much for watching this episode of What the Beef. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. I got a little disclaimer. Pretty much, I noticed a lot of people, and I'm gonna leave this one particular YouTuber. I'm not gonna say his name throughout the fucking video, but when I do these fucking videos, I just want to make a point clear. You're watching my opinion about the beef, about who won what, how I feel like that, this, all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? Just because you have a disagreement pretty much about who won what beef and whatnot, don't fucking come to my fucking channel and disrespect me and stuff. And like I said before, I know who the person is. I'm not gonna bash him out like that, but you just watch yourself and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So that being said, it's just not your typical beef series about who won what, who did this. It's just gonna talk about, the history and like what led them to do it, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I want to thank everyone for watching this episode of Beef. Y'all can subscribe to on this channel. Y'all can donate to the Patreon if y'all want to see some new episodes or some new ideas and whatnot. And make sure you guys actually do donate. Follow me on Twitter at RealReg1, and at Instagram at MCRegMusic. And I hope you guys have a very good night. Peace.
Next to him is a woman who's passed for white for years. Used to be a whore in Detroit.